Crazy Incredible Podcast. Real stories by real people, the way they remember them. With your host, artist, graphic designer, professional wrestler, and now podcaster, Idle Hines. Hi, it's Idle Hines. Welcome to Crazy Incredible. Finally I got this episode going. I ran into a lot of obstacles to get to where I'm at, but it's okay. Life happens, stuff happens, and we learn from it. On this first episode, I'm real excited about it. I have Jimmy Jacobs telling a story about how he became one with the universe and got a job at WWE. Jimmy Jacobs, I've known him for a long time. He's a fellow professional wrestler. He's a writer and producer at Impact Wrestling and a former writer at WWE. You can reach him on all his social media outlets at Jimmy Jacobs X. Also, he has a really great podcast called Jimmy Jacobs Doesn't Know. So check that out also. Hope you enjoy the show. I got Jimmy Jacobs, and he's going to tell us a bedtime story.
Well, I hope it's not a bedtime story. I hope nobody falls asleep while I'm telling the story.
They better not. No, we were joking before we got on here about it'd be pretty over if Jimmy Jacobs read bedtime stories to all the children.
Yeah, I think you said children's stories, and I was like, well, I don't know if this story is for children or not. I mean, it depends how you raise your children, I suppose. And who am I to judge?
Right.
All right, so
yeah, like let's just set the scene here. Like what? I don't know if you know the year, the place, the planet.
It was July of 2014, and like any good story, it starts at the Gathering of the Juggalos. I'm sure you know the Gathering of the Juggalos is the yearly tradition of all of the Insane Clown Posse fans. All it's like Woodstock for Insane Clown Posse. And back in 2000, whoop whoop. Back in 2014, I really liked drugs, and drugs were easy to find at the Gathering of the Juggalos. I had picked up 2 ecstasy pills, and I put them in my bag, and then I wrestled. The show was at like 2 a.m., so we didn't get out till like 5 a.m. And
you got to explain. Like I've heard stories of this. I've never actually been there, unfortunately. Like I really want to do it sometime.
Yeah,
but you got to explain how there's like actually a bridge.
Well, so this was actually around Columbus. This is after.
Oh, okay. After the bridge?
Yeah, the drug bridge was in Cave Rock, Illinois.
Okay.
You just go to this bridge, and if you wanted the drugs, that's where you'd go. But this took me like asking one person if they had anything. And
okay.
I picked up some ecstasy. And so I wrestled, and it's always an adventure wrestling at the Gathering of the Juggalos because people are like throwing stuff at you. They're throwing drinks at you. They're throwing anything at you. Anything they have that isn't nailed down, which can be
batteries.
Batteries.
Yes.
I remember I wrestled Ken Shamrock there in 2009.
Oh wow!
And we were supposed to have this match. It's maybe like a 6-minute match. And so we get in the ring. Like, we go to lock up, he hits me, I take a powder, I go outside the ring, and I'm outside the ring, and people are just, like, dumping stuff on me, like, bottles of Faygo, they're just dumping stuff on me, and I'm waiting, because Ken's supposed to come and, like, chase me out, right? He's supposed to come out of the ring and chase me around the ring, and I'm waiting for him, Finally, I hop up the apron, I go to the referee, hey, tell Ken to come out and get me, and he goes, Ken wants to go home. He's punched me one time. And so, all right. So I go in the ring. He like ducks his clothesline. He hits me with a belly-to-belly suplex, gets me in the ankle lock, and I tap. It was like 20 seconds of action. Because people were throwing so much shit in the ring. Like a lot of those professionals didn't want to perform while everybody's throwing stuff in the ring. But yeah, it could be pretty dangerous, man.
I don't blame them. I'd be the same way.
Yeah. But hey, you do what you do, and at that point in my life, I'm trying to make a buck wherever I can.
Right.
Get drugs wherever I can. So after this show's at like 2 a.m. We get out at like 5 a.m. I went to the hotel, I showered, and then I had a morning flight from Columbus to Detroit to Providence, Rhode Island. Because I had a show in Providence, Rhode Island that day for Beyond Wrestling. And so my buddies drive me to the airport. And like I said, it's like 5:30 in the morning now. And I'm thinking like, well, my day started, so might as well. And so I pop one of the ecstasy pills, thinking like, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'll be on a plane feeling good on ecstasy. Fine.
So you've been up all night.
Mm-hmm. Yep, up all night. And then I'm like, well, let's just start the day. Because that was really typical for me to wake up and take drugs first thing in the morning. And so this is like, all right, this is the start of my day. Here's some ecstasy. Now, normally I didn't take ecstasy at 5 in the morning to start my day. I thought, what's the worst that can happen?
Ecstasy and Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Good balanced breakfast.
Right. See, it's not for kids, but it's for adults. So I go through security. And it's been like an hour and a half, and I feel nothing. And like, if you're like a drug addict or if you take drugs, like one of like the worst things possible is to take drugs and not feel anything. Like that was like my biggest fear. It's like you always want to take too much because the worst thing that can possibly happen is you don't take enough. And so like any proper drug addict, well, if one is doing nothing, well then 2 will do double nothing. So then I take the second one. And so I'm sitting there, and a half hour later, it just begins. Like the universe just syncs up with me. Like as soon as it kicks in, the man over the PA makes an announcement that my flight was going to be delayed for an hour and a half due to fog in Detroit. And that the exact moment he said that was the exact moment the ecstasy kicked in, and I go, oh shit, out loud. And this family of his mom and dad with the kids, they see me going, oh shit. This flight delay, but no, it's not about the flight delay. Like I'm on a different planet. My eyes are bucking out, my legs shaking, and so I'm like, all right, I have to figure this out because now my flight's delayed and I'm going to miss my connecting flight, which means I'm going to miss my flight to Providence. I need to make the show. Even though I'm in the state, my biggest concern is like, I need to make my wrestling gig.
That's horrible.
So
that's never fun.
So there I am. I'm by the gate and I'm like trying to plan on how I'm going to get rebooked. And so I stutter stepped my way up to the front desk, and I try to tell them my situation. That's not situation that I was fucked up, but the situation I needed to be in Providence. And
so I've never actually tried ecstasy. Can you explain a little bit, like kind of like what it's like?
Well, here's the thing. I had done ecstasy before.
Okay.
But I had never felt like this. Like, generally, like it makes you feel like euphoric, and like you just want to like tell everybody you love them and you care so much about them, and it feels good to be touched. But like this, I'm like bugging out, like on a movie when somebody's on drugs and the screen goes like, wah, 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 wah. It's like that.
Okay.
Like it's just like I'm not understanding any words that are coming at me. This guy's telling me how I can get on another flight. I have no idea what he's saying to me. And so I'm just confused. I go back to my seat, and finally they say the flight's, it was delayed, but not like that much. It was going to be delayed where we're going to be late, but like I might be able to still make my connecting flight. So I go on to the corridor between the gate and the plane. So I go on to that. And I get lost in there, and then it's just a straight line. But I just like stopped at one point and go, man, are we in a fucking maze right now? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm zoinked, man. I'm completely out of my mind. And I go onto the plane, and I'm in my seat, and I remember like I went to shake a hand. I was sitting down. I went to shake a hand that wasn't there, and then mid like shake, I like pull back like Ric Flair style because I'm like, oh no, it'd be weird if I went to. I remember one time I put.
Did you throw a woo out there?
Yeah, in my head it was always woo, 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 the whole time. Like at one point, I remember I put away my phone to look for my phone, and then finally, like I'm just like, dude, I have no idea what's happening. And finally I put headphones in, and then like the music, man. And I looked out in the clouds, and the clouds kind of look like a Winamp like visualization player, you know, where like it like goes to the beat of the music. Like basically the clouds are like dancing to my music. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it was great. And I go like, yeah, the clouds are agreeing with my music. I'm seeing the sounds. And as you know, Florence and the Machine's song was playing, you know, it's always darkest before the dawn, and I see the dichotomy of the darkness and the light, and I'm like, yes, like this is it, like this is what's going on. No longer am I freaking out, but now I see the synchronicity of the universe, right? Now I'm feeling it, and it's like you go to the chiropractor and he like cracks your back, and all of a sudden like everything's in alignment, and everything then became in alignment, right? So the plane lands. It was in Terminal C, and I need to get to Terminal A. If you've ever been to the Detroit airport, it's kind of far away. So I start to like run, right? And the first song that comes on as I'm, you know, kind of going fast to the airport, rushing to my next flight, was my song that I wrote, that's available on iTunes, called Gypsy Soul, which is like a song about like the woes of a traveler. And I'm like, yes, of course this is coming on.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah, of course, because like everything is in sync. The world and the universe and me, we're all in sync. We're running together. And as I'm hurrying, you know, people are walking, and they're walking in the beat of the song. And I'm like, this is perfect. This is great. And then that song dies, and I start to go down an escalator. And as I'm going down an escalator, on the escalator next to me going up, I see Rich Swann, who's you know, another wrestler. And I go, hey, what are you doing here? And I high five him, and he goes, I'm going to Richmond. I'm late. I go, I'm going to Providence. I'm late. Then I stop, and I just go, wait, who the fuck was that? And I messaged my friend, and I go, hey, Can you see if Rich Swann, can you see if he was in Detroit today? And she gets back to me and she goes, no, he's in Germany right now. So I just high five some dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so I'm still rushing. I don't know if you're familiar with the Detroit airport, but between terminals B and C and Terminal A, there's this like big, long, like futuristic looking hallway. Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've been to Detroit, honestly.
If you Google like a DTW like airport hallway or something, I'm sure it'll come up, because you know it's like artsy and all these lights and all this stuff, and it's like music's playing in the background. It's pretty cool just like normally, but as you're on Ecstasy, it was like awesome. And there I am rushing. I'm in this incredible hallway with this, you know, this awesome vibe to it. And
I'm looking at it right now on the internet. The first thing that pops up is a YouTube video called Detroit Metro Airport's Psychedelic Hallway.
Yes, exactly. So
perfect.
So if you're on Ecstasy, which is, you know, not sort of a psychedelic, not quite, but sort of, I guess it would be classified as that. It's in that realm. So it really, you know, the lights, the visualization really was great. And so I see this group of like dudes, and they're running to their flight, and I just stop and I look at them, and I'm just going, well, that's ridiculous. Why are they running? And then I just stopped. Even though I was late for my flight, like my flight was supposed to leave by that point, I just go, you know what? I'm going to make my flight, because I'm in sync with the universe. We're on the same team right now.
Right.
So I casually stroll to my gate, which wasn't close. I casually stroll to it, and sure enough, they're still boarding. And like, I'm like, of course they're still boarding. Like, I had no doubt they were going to be, like, even though the flight was supposed to take off like 10 minutes ago. So I go on to the flight, and there's good music playing on the flight. And I was like, hell yeah. Like I was feeling it. I was feeling what's going on. And I go and I look at my seat, and I wasn't feeling it. Like, it wasn't my seat. Then I look across the hall, across the aisleway to a row back, and I see Sugar Dunkerton. And Sugar Dunkerton's, you know, he's another wrestler. And I go, Sugar, perfect, you're here. And I go, I'm going to need that seat next to you. And he goes, well, I think that's somebody else's seat. And I just turn around, and the guy behind me goes, that's my seat. Would you like it? And I go, yes, I would. And I go and I sit down, and Sugar's kind of like impressed by the ease in which that happened. And he goes,
Right.
how did this happen? I go, well, yeah, because of the music. And it was because of the music. Like, there was good music playing. Like, the vibe of the universe was like, yes, you need this seat. This seat is yours. It was giving it to me. And so I go, Sugar, I'm not going to lie. I took some ecstasy. And I'm rolling pretty hard right now. Yeah, I'm tripping, and I have no idea how I'm gonna get to the show or where we're supposed to go at the show because he's on the same show as I am. So I go, I'm
sure he had something really funny to say to that too. He's a funny dude.
Great dude. So
I love him.
I go, I'm gonna need you to be my guide, but in return, I will be your guide. And I start talking to him about wrestling. And normally, like, I don't like to, I don't like to impose my advice on people. I know a lot of guys like to do that, kind of impose their advice. I've been wrestling for a long time, so you should listen to me. But in this state, I just started talking to him. I'm talking about stuff, and he goes to me, hey, this is the sort of stuff I've been thinking about, over the past couple of days. And I go, yeah, I know. Because I did know. Right? Because me and the universe are in sync. Everything he would say, I would just go, yeah, I know.
Jimmy Jacobs and the universe, tag team champions.
Dude, at that moment, yes. Like, sometimes, I don't know, man. Like, yes, we were a tag team then. And so then I'm talking to him. I'm talking about, like, how everybody in wrestling gets caught up with what they should do and what they're supposed to do. And I'm like, you need to stop doing what you should do. I start talking about the Young Bucks, and I look at them, they spit in the face of what they should do. And they said, hey, we're just going to do what we want to do. We're going to do what we think is cool. We're going to do what we did in the backyard. This was like 5 years ago. This is like before they were like, started to blow up. They were starting to, like, really, they had turned this corner because they had just said, fuck it. We're going to be ourselves. Doesn't matter. People say you throw too many super kicks. Fuck you. We're going to throw even more super kicks. Hey, you can't say suck it. That's somebody else's thing. Oh yeah. Is it? Well, suck it. They just, like, they were completely irreverent, and they just did what they enjoyed. And so I'm giving them some advice, and I just go, hey, Sugar, I give you permission to be you. And I put my hand on his shoulder, and there's a tear in his eye. He goes, thank you. I needed to hear that. And he did,
That's awesome.
Sometimes guys feel that way, right? And as there was that silence there, I looked out the window, and I said to him, no, the clouds sound bad right now. And they were gray, and they were buzzing. And then it was like as it hit me. It was like no time for pussyfooting around. I go, Sugar, I'm a smart man. My father's a federal judge. My brother has a PhD in mathematics. They'll both tell you I'm the smartest one in the family. And when it comes to wrestling, like, I'm on the next level. I mean, very few people in wrestling have the progressive thoughts that I do. And over the past few months, like a few months ago, I saw the Matrix, like, and I see it all so clearly. And I looked out the window again, and the clouds agreed with my emotions. And then I mourned my wrestling career, because at that point I knew I wouldn't be wrestling much longer. I wasn't meant to be a wrestler. It all dawned on me. I have a gift for creativity, and I needed to write. I needed to work in the creative part of the business. I need to go and be a writer in WWE. Like, that's my gift. It all made sense. It was like I was banging my head up against a wall for 15 years. And then all of a sudden, in this moment, I see it, and I see there's a door right there. And I go, oh, there's a door here. It was like for 15 years, I learned how to perform. I learned how to write my character, learned how to emote, so I could help other people do that. It wasn't about me. It was about doing it for other people. And I told this to Sugar, and I go, Sugar, there's a job waiting for me in WWE as a writer. The universe was just preparing me for it. And the universe has been waiting for me to be ready for it. Now I'm ready. And there was no real job waiting for me. I mean, that wasn't a thing. But in that moment, I knew what it was.
But you and the universe were one.
Yes. So right. So when I say there was a job waiting for me, it's not like somebody had offered me a job or talked to me about getting a job at all. This was just all me and the universe as a team. The universe saying, "Hey, this is where you're going." I go, "Oh yeah, you're right. This is where I'm going." So the plane was starting to descend, and then as we landed, I called Bryan Danielson. And Bryan is like the hardest motherfucker in the world to get a hold of. We were just talking about this.
Right? He said he disappeared for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, doing my podcast. Man, it's real. He doesn't spend time on his phone. He's really hard to
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Man, Bryan's the man. So the plane's descending. I call Bryan. And dude, he's the hardest guy to get a hold of. But I called him because he was going to pick up. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's why I did it. I was like, okay, I'm calling him because he's going to pick up his phone now. And he did pick up his phone. And we talked and we caught up. We talked about his autobiography. And he had just like stopped a robber in his house or something like that.
What?
Yeah. If you look it up, like Bryan Daniel stops robber or something. This was like late July 2014. He had just done it. I just read about it.
I got to hear this story.
Yeah.
You have him call me? I'm kidding.
Yeah. So I go, hey man, I'm afraid, this phone call, it's not just all about pleasantries. I want to get a job in the WWE as a writer, and I need you to help me do that. That's what I need. And we talked about it for a while. He was all gung ho, and then like, dude, I'm so in sync with the universe. I'm in sync with my intuition, in sync with my highest self, all of it, right? It's all connected, and it is. But then for the first time, I question myself and I go, wait, should I call you or should you call me? And I go, wait a minute, no. I'll tell you what, you're going to call me. Like, you're going to call me because you believe in me. He goes, I do believe in you. I believe you're the smartest wrestler I've ever met. And I go, I know. Thank you. And that's why you're going to call me. He goes, you'll be hearing from me soon. And I say, I know I will. I miss you. I love you. He goes, I miss you too. I love you too, Jimmy. And that was it. And I looked at Sugar and I go, all right, man. I'm going to go be a writer in the WWE. And I remember like that day, like telling people at the show that I was going to go be a writer for WWE. And then it just happened. I mean, that was it. It was a few months later that I went to go be an extra there. And I talked to Bryan again and I talked to Joey Mercury. And it was just so easy. It was so easy. It was a straight line right to that job. And like I said, it was like I'd banged my head up against a brick wall for 15 years. And there's like, oh man, there's a door right here. And the universe in that time with that ecstasy, showed me where the door was. And it's funny because drugs are funny because people say, oh, when you're on drugs, you're not yourself or whatever. Right. But
everybody says drugs are bad, but drugs are funny.
It can be. People say that like when you're on drugs, if you're high or you're drunk or something, you're not yourself. But in a manner of speaking, like you're more yourself than otherwise. Yeah. So they say that when you're on drugs, like you're not yourself. But in a certain manner of speaking, it's like you're more yourself sometimes because we have all these walls and we have all these insecurities. We have all these things that we basically hide behind because we don't want people to see really what's in here. And we're afraid of being rejected in here. And there's this thing inside of you that you keep tight and you keep hidden because, oh man, if you let this thing out, it's so fragile, it's so delicate. And what happens if it gets rejected, if it gets stomped on, if it gets hurt? And so we have these walls. And sometimes what the drugs do is they take down these walls. And I think, that's a bit of what happened there. It's like the walls that connect us from being in sync with the universe. At the time, I'll say this. At the time after it happened, it was such a profound day, profound moment. But like mostly I've chalked it up to the drugs, right?
Okay.
But where I stand now, I go, yeah, it wasn't just the drugs. The drugs helped me connect with the universe. And you have that ability to be that, to connect like that without drugs. It just takes work. And, they talk about things like the law of attraction. I don't know if you're familiar with the law of attraction. It's something that up until recently I thought, well, this is bullshit. The idea that if basically you more or less, it's something like this, convince your mind that something in the future has already happened, that there's a manifestation of that, right? It's something like that. If you've read The Secret or whatnot. But basically,
I haven't read The Secret, but there's been some other books where it's like basically like if you tell yourself it's going to happen and you see yourself doing it, like you can accomplish it, like it will happen.
Yes.
Basically,
it's more or less like that. I mean, I'm reading actually a book about it right now, calling "Becoming Supernatural" by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and basically the science or something like that behind it is like your mind doesn't know the difference between like past, present, and future. In the same way that like if you just went through a bad breakup, let's say you went through a bad breakup, 2 years ago, but
right.
You just keep reliving it. You keep going like, oh man, that hurt, or any sort of trauma, and you bring yourself and you replay it in your head. Basically, the same emotions you were feeling at that time years ago, you're putting your mind right back in that place, and your mind is telling your body to secrete the same hormones, create the same like genetic proteins and all that stuff, as
right.
if you were really there, as if that was actually happening. And so your mind really can't tell the difference between like then and now. It's just so basically, if you convince your mind, more or less, convince is a weird word for it, but if your mind knows that something in the future has already happened, then it manifests and happens. And this was the closest thing I could ever say to that. Like I said, I was telling people that day that I was going to WB to be a writer, even though there was no evidence to say that was going to happen. And then it just happened with the greatest of ease, and
really?
And that's how I went on to become a writer in WWE. Now, how I got fired as a writer from WWE, well, that's a whole different story. yeah.
Good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, it was good talking to you, man.
Cool, thanks, dude.
All right, and that concludes the first episode of Crazy Incredible. It feels so good to say that. It's been a really long journey trying to get this thing out. I want to thank Jimmy Jacobs. Follow him at Jimmy Jacobs X on all social media outlets. Check out his podcast, Jimmy Jacobs Doesn't Know. Follow me, Idle Hines, at Idle Hines. Don't forget to follow the show at Crazy Incredible. Stay tuned. A lot more good episodes coming up. Thank you. Have a great day. And no matter what, have fun.